As a former journalist, I've grown fascinated with people's stories. Stories about where they're from and how they came to be. But the stories that intrigue me the most are the ones about a time that changed the entire trajectory of their life's course. Stories of that moment. Join me, your host, Twyla Rebecca, as I explore these stories with friends, both old and new. Hey, I'm your host, Twyla Rebecca. Thank you for tuning in to That Moment. I'm so pleased to have such a wonderful guest with me today. She's my friend, my sister, my hairstylist. Hey, Twyla.
Hey, sis. How you doing, Queen?
I'm good because you're here. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Such a blessing to be on your podcast.
Thank you.
I feel special.
Because you are. You is kind.
I is kind.
You is important.
I is important.
You is special.
I special.
Well, listen, I know that as a stylist, you have a crazy schedule, so I'm super grateful that you made time to come. And
Absolutely.
yeah, it was important for me because I've known you for a few years now. It's been a minute. I think I met you when I was running the newspaper.
Yes.
Met a lot of people that way, but started coming to you as a stylist some years ago. And, you know, when we're in the chairs, the conversations come, you start learning about the people in your head.
Absolutely.
And people's hair is getting done. And I was just like, man, Twyla has such an amazing story. And you've just been one of my sources of inspiration.
Thank you.
For a long time.
Thank you so much.
A long time.
As you are in my life as well.
Thank you. Stop it. It's too soon. But what I want to do is, you know, allow you to tell our guests who you are,
Okay.
a little bit about your backstory, and then we'll kind of take the conversation from there. So tell us who you are and where you from.
Great. Who am I? I'm Twyla Green, 43 years old. I am a hair health clinician, cosmetologist, hair educator, and just queen of everything. I was actually born in prison. My mother had me in prison, and from there went to foster care. Through that was kind of a very low point in my life. Through foster care, I went through molestation and being physical and verbally abused. And from there, that is where that low self-esteem came in as a child. From there, I started to actually eat. Food was my friend. That was the only person the only thing I felt that would understand some of the things I was going through. I didn't know who to share them with, and I was uncomfortable. I thought it was my fault, and that is where me leaning on food came from, and using that as a source to cope with. Going from there, I actually ran away from foster care, so God had brought that to my remembrance the other day. I have always fought for something. I've always been the person to say, hey, no, this cannot happen. We, search, pray, and get an answer, and you don't have to stay in that situation. That was the first situation or the first time in my life that I understood that I didn't have to stay somewhere where I was not treated appropriately. Yeah. So from then, ran away, and I was able to see my mother sometimes. My foster parents let me see my mother at least once every 2 months, and so that is where I ran away to, because when I went, I thought it was all great. When I visited, it was great, but found out it wasn't so great when I ran away and got to stay there. So ran away to my mother's house, and that is where I met my siblings, and I had 4 of them. I saw them earlier in my life, but I did not know that they were my siblings until I ran away and got to know them a little bit more. Yeah. From there, my mother kind of leaned on me from then on to take care of the kids. So her being on narcotics and just going through that whole life, living in Southeast San Diego, I had a big load to carry. And it was actually 6 children. So from 13 and a half until, I guess, current, I've raised 6 children. And from there, that is where my nurturing came in. That is where my love for children came in, and just making sure that our youth is taken care of, even if they don't have a voice. God has given me a great gift of discernment to always kind of feel, and especially if they're dealing with depression, molestation, or anything that I went through. Yeah. I'm a firm believer if you have went through these certain things, God gives you something special to discern it in someone else, so you can help them through that issue, so they can know that they can get through that issue.
Yeah.
So just raising those 6 kids, and my grandmother actually put me into etiquette school because of my molestation. I didn't want anything to do with any male species. So whether it's a doctor or a teacher or a preacher, it didn't really matter. I automatically rebutted against anything they said or anything they did. And she put me in etiquette school because I was kind of Cleo from
from
Set It Off. Okay. And Cleo is a great person, but for me, I believe that God hunched my grandmother to let her know that that isn't really who he had called me to be. Yeah. And when I say Cleo, I just mean just a harsh young lady, didn't want to wear dresses. I still have a slight issue to this day wearing short dresses. And that's just from back in the day and what I went through. But I tell you what, all these things have really, really made who I am today, and why. That's my why for what I do today. So put me in etiquette school. The graduation actually was a pageant, and I end up winning the pageant. Okay. Girls, the only big girl, period. And so that was another point in my life where I'm like, okay, someone actually looked at my gifts and my talents and didn't necessarily look at my weight. And so something clicked in my mind and said, one day I'm going to do a show. Yeah. And you don't have to look a certain way. You just have to learn how to strut the runway. And one day I'm going to do a show. And that is what brought forth the Twyla show that I did for actually 12 years. I did the Twyla show, and that was beauty in all sizes. Yeah. I invited everyone from the inner city community and abroad to come in and cast. And we pretty much said yes to everybody because it was about building your self-esteem and learning who you are and knowing who you are. And that was a great run. And that was really, really one of the best things that I've ever done, to see a lot of people really not believe in themselves or think that they were a model. Because we all know how the world is when it comes to that. They think you have to be a certain way and dress a certain way and look a certain way. You have to be either this skinny, it can't be too big, you have to be this shade. And so the Twyla show was a great way on how to say, you know what, embrace who God made you. We're going to celebrate that. Now, of course, we all have little things that we have to work on, but through that, make sure that you love and accept yourself, and you do have support from the people around you.
Yeah, those shows were so good. I remember going to a few, and it was just this air of surprise because we never knew what you were going to do. Yes. I mean, it was always radically different than the previous show, and very colorful and just exciting, and you didn't want it to end. There was just so much happening. So you definitely did some quality work there.
Thank you. To that. Thank you so much. That was one of my babies that I loved. Yeah. And I will be doing some more things in the community. But the Twyla show, we laid to rest.
Yes, you did.
We laid to rest in 2020, right before the pandemic. But I have some other great things coming.
Some new stuff is going to birth from that. You're just going on to bigger and better things.
Absolutely.
That just laid the groundwork. So you were in this pageant, you won the pageant, and what got you into doing hair?
Okay, so the pageant, I was about 13 and a half. A year later, after that, a lot of people in my family are already cosmetologists. They own businesses in Atlanta, Los Angeles, and then here in San Diego. And I was just that little girl growing up in my aunt's shop. Shout out to my aunt, Gail Fennell, period. I grew up in her salon, sweeping the floor, folding towels, and I was able to see how women came in and they were frowning, and I was nosy. Yeah. And I was still able to eavesdrop on their conversation, and of course they were talking about their husband or their best friend did this, or they're upset at this. But whatever was going on, something transformed them when they were in the chair, and they were able to kind of let it go. And as they washed their hair and get it prepped and then get it styled, they left. It was a basic hair transformation, and it really transformed how they felt about themselves, about their day, and about that experience. And so that is kind of what triggered something something in me. So first I had the show I was in, the pageant that I was in, that clique that I wanted to do some type of show. I still wasn't sure because I was 13 and a half, but then moving me into now I'm at, my aunt's salon and I'm sweeping, folding towels and able to actually witness women coming in feeling not so good, but by the time their appointment was finished, feeling great about themselves. So that was really the pivotal moment that I said in my head, okay, I'm really going to do that. Because I also always knew I wanted to do hair. I just didn't know from what point, or how I wanted to do it. Was I going to work with family? What was actually my position in the hair industry? So
and working with family can be intense. It can be pretty intense.
It can be pretty intense.
Yeah.
So
how long were you working with your family?
I worked with my family. So when I was 13 and a half, folding towels, sweeping floors and getting to see other women come in and come out. And I also worked in my uncle's shop.
Okay.
Now, my auntie didn't let me work illegally.
Oh.
But my uncle, he's a little bit more hood.
Yeah.
So he allowed me to come after 5 and on the weekends.
Okay.
And I was able to kind of be in the back and do my friend's hair and everything. So I had the business standpoint from my aunt and how to do things right and in order. Yeah. And I had to handle
at that age, it was just trying to keep us out of trouble.
Yeah. And I really thank God for him, and I thank God for those situations because I lived in Southeast San Diego and all I had to do was walk right out outside the door and look around the corner and trouble was right there to meet me. Yeah. So I am grateful for those instances when people in my family, said, okay, you're going to be here and you're going to do this. Yeah. I'm going to let you do that because like you said, it really, really kept me out of trouble.
Yeah. Especially in the time frame that we grew up in. We're around the same age. So there was a lot going on in the community where it was better to be in a program or, somebody's house or something like that. So I definitely understand that. Yeah.
And, shout out to San Diego Recreational Centers. That is where I learned everything. I was in etiquette school. I learned ceramics, basketball, learned how to cook.
They had programs.
They had programs.
Yes,
okay.
They did.
Unfortunately, it's not like that these days. And so that is why I try so hard to come up with different programs that, especially for our teen girls. Yeah. But ultimately for everybody who is in that generation to have some type of fun positively and, find their purpose and know how important they are.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've done great at that.
Thank you.
You've done great. So you're in the salon, you're working, you're a teenager. At what point did you say, I want to do this on my own? How did that transition to entrepreneurship happen for you?
When I started to get a lot of clients.
Okay.
Because at first it was just a little bit of family and friends. Yeah. And, I had the niche, but when other people were starting to ask my friends and, oh, hey, who did your hair? And they give them my phone number and they started calling. I started booking them. I'm like, okay. Yeah. This is what I'm going to do. Yeah. Because I loved how I was in control. Yeah. And they trusted me with their hair. We had great conversation. And these ladies was way older than me. Yeah. They were way older than me. I was like 14, 15 years old, but just had a mature mind and was able to keep up conversation with 40 and 50-year-old ladies and doing their hair at the same time. And so I was really deeply rooted in the church, church services, church events. And so that is where I really blew up. I was a ponytail girl, so everything was shout proof, girl. Okay. You could shout, honey. That ponytail ain't coming out.
Going nowhere.
And them waterfalls was nice and stiff, baby. It wasn't going nowhere. Them pin curls was pin. Okay? The pin curls was pinning.
Well, you said shout proof. I already knew what you was talking about.
You already know. It was set.
Get it going.
Listen, them ponytails was set. So, started to see, okay, I'm getting kind of popular with these ponytails. This is what I'm doing. This is what I want to do because I love the freedom of everything. I've never been an individual who likes to be weighed down with rules or anything. I've really been a real free type person when it comes to making decisions or living life under what God calls me to do, but still living a type of free life. Yeah, not being weighed down from outside things. Yeah.
So how old were you when, after the clientele picks up, you're still working for your family, you're like, I'm going to step out on my own. Talk a little bit about those challenges in the mindset to say, you know what, I'm going to step over this threshold and be an entrepreneur. And what's your baby steps look like? What was that like?
So I went to City College, 1998, graduated from Senegal High School. I was going to say Senegal City College. Senegal High School, go Cavers.
Yep.
Class of 98, went straight into Senegal City College, which was right across the street. I was blessed to get the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship that paid a full ride for my cosmetology, and I was very, very blessed for that. And so I started in 98, went to school, got through school, got my license, and I was still working in my aunt's shop. Okay. So I was working there about I would say 5, but I think about 8 years. Okay. I was working there 8 years, and it wasn't that anything was wrong with where I was, but I wanted to see how would it feel if I was on my own. Yeah. And it was a very scary situation because first I thought my aunt was going to be mad because my type of personality, I've always been a leader. So if you tell me to sweep the floor, I'm going to sweep it. I'm going to mop it. I'm going to wax it. You're not going to have to ask me. You don't have to multitask. I like to be multitask, but I don't like to be watched over. Right. So I'm that type of person. And so a lot of people depend on me to get the job done, which is great. Yeah. But then I'm like, oh, God, I want to leave. No, who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? You know, and it was very, very hard for me. Yeah. So when I did it, it was very liberating. I felt free, and so I felt good. However, there was one side, like I just left my aunt. What am I going to do? What is she going to do? You know, and I believe that was all set up in the cards for me. And just fast forwarding to this day, now we're back working together. Yeah. You know, and so I know that I had to leave the nest. Yeah. Yeah. To bump my head, to learn. Because if I didn't have any gel, I can go over to Auntie's station and get the gel.
Now you know, you gotta go buy it.
I had to go to the business and get that. You know, hey, I couldn't pay my booth rent. Auntie, I can't pay my booth rent. You can't do that in no one else's salon. You better have that booth rent on time. Yeah. And so just learning, you know, things like that. And once I left her, it was hard. Yeah. It was hard for me because I found out that I depended on her in her business for a lot.
So it grew you up really fast in that sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I remember a time, I think when I met you, we would have conversations, but you've always been very transparent, which I appreciate. Before I ask my next question, I want you to talk a little bit about why you operate that way. Why are you such a transparent person? Why is it important for you to share with people certain details of your life and I guess to motivate them in that way?
My molestation. Okay. Because it was a secret. And I told one person, rest in heaven, Aunt Louise, I told my Aunt Louise what was going on. And she told me next time it happened, get the cast iron skillet and make sure you handle it.
That's great advice.
And I took that advice. Yeah. And that is actually how I ran away from the foster care. I did that and then I ran away. But it's just, it's crazy how bad things can happen. Yeah. But it kind of brings great things from that bad situation. I got lost a little bit. What was the question?
About your transparency. And it sounds like what you're saying is like there's a type of freedom in your transparency. So by you telling a secret, you got some good feedback, if you will, some good insight on what to do if it happens next. But,
and I learned early that secrets hurt. Yeah. We say what goes on this family and what goes on in this family stays in this family. What goes on in this house stays in this house. And to a certain point, I do believe that if it's not an abusive situation, if it's not a negative situation, but them keeping that secret to myself hurt me. Yeah. You know, and me not feeling comfortable to talk to my family about it or people who were close to me about it hurt me. Yeah. I didn't feel free or liberated until I started sharing my story. And I'm able to see, especially anyone who goes through something, that it's like a glow about them when they're able to let go of that, and that situation isn't holding captive of them, you know. And so just from then on, how liberated I felt, I was going to continue to speak up for myself, protect myself. And now that I'm 43, I'm learning how to do that positively. Because in the beginning, I was Cleo mixed with Medea.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
so you know, I was very overprotective of the people that I loved, and you know, very tomboyish because of the molestation. It wasn't because I was born like that. It was because of something that happened in my life that that made me that way, so to speak.
And so even to hear it as an adult, still dealing with the need to tell the truth and speak freely, because I don't think we always realize how much our childhood, which is fascinating to me, our childhood is the shortest time of our life, but it has the greatest impact.
Yes.
And there's so many adults walking around still dealing with childhood trauma.
Absolutely.
And having not, I guess, nurtured that inner child, that little girl or that little boy. So for you at your age to say it is still important for me to tell, not even just tell the truth, but to be transparent, to speak freely. It's more liberating for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I can't do it any other way.
Yeah.
I had promised myself a long time ago, if I feel a certain way, there's a positive way that you can still express yourself without being rude and obnoxious. Again, I'm still... I'm about 80%. Y'all. Y'all keep praying for that 20.
You're neither rude nor obnoxious.
No, I'm not rude. No, I'm not rude nor obnoxious. But there have been some situations where, you know, I done pulled up Medea from the back pocket.
I mean, listen, we need to investigate, because some people may need them certain situations.
Oh, definitely. Medea was needed. Medea was Medea in. So she definitely was needed. But just learning through those situations how, you know, being older and a little bit wiser, how I can deal with that. Yeah. But I'm going to always speak my truth. A lot of people don't like that, and I understand why. Yeah. But the Bible says the truth will set you free.
That's true.
So we quote a lot of Bible verses, but I think sometimes we forget about that one.
Be hearers and not doers, and we need to be doers too and hearers of the word.
Yeah. So, you know.
So the people benefiting from your transparency is really just a byproduct.
Absolutely.
This is just you being you.
Just me. It's just me being me. Yeah. And through that, I've gained a lot of support, a lot of love, and a lot of encouragement, even for me in my own life. And so I just have to be free, open, and transparent. And that's what works for me.
There was a moment, I think it might have been right before the pandemic. So you and I were working together on my digital Black Lifestyle magazine.
Yes.
So you were doing a lot of the hair for the covers and things like that. And I remember you were going through a shop transition change. And you told me this story about how you had moved into one of your locations. Talk a little bit about this particular story. You didn't have much. I think you had walked away from something else, but you came into this new location. It was the one that had the coffee shop in the front.
Gotcha.
And I'll let you tell the rest, but you came in with not a lot. And I often think back to that story and that level of motivation that you had to say, I'm still going to do hair. I'm going to show up as best as I know how with these things that I have.
Yes.
And people still going to come and I'm going to work through it. I'm going to let you tell the rest of that.
That was the moment that I knew people actually like really love me, and they really love how I styled them, you know, because there was nothing to look at, you know. So prior to moving to that location, I was in another location, and I was supposed to go in business with another stylist. And something devastating happened to that stylist regarding her son. And so with that, I still didn't know that she wasn't moving with me. I thought that we were still going to, you know, move in together in business. However, she was just going through so much she could not. But where did that leave me? And so that left me stuck with the lease.
Oh Lord.
With the lease, and I heard God say, "Do it anyway." And I'm like, okay. So walked away from what I had, thinking I was going into something bigger, which the location was bigger for me. However, I didn't have a chair. So my first client, she sat in a metal stool. She sat on a metal stool.
Wow.
My station was a plant holder. I put all my, lined them up all nice in the station, in the plant holder actually. And I was able to scrape and get a used sink from someone. And that's all I had. I didn't even have a mirror.
Wow.
And I did my first client like that. I took a picture too, and I made sure I put it on Facebook. So every year I'm able to see it in my memories, how far God has brought me.
Yeah.
And started with that stool and that plant holder. And from there, I would make a little bit extra and go get a chair and make a little bit extra.
Yeah.
And then I had a full furnished salon.
Yeah.
And, it just taught me so much on my determination.
That was huge. I mean, especially to go from having a setup
to not having anything.
But then having to like show everybody like, hey, so that's a whole thing in itself.
Yeah.
You have all these clients, you move to a new location and you're like, yo, check this out. All I got is a stool. What did that do? What was that like? Did you get the response that you thought you would? Did you think people would be turned off? They'd be like, what's going on with Twyla? Or
at first I thought if I was happy and kind of excited about it, somehow I can get them happy and excited with this stool.
Yeah.
So they would come in and I would say, hey girl, now I know you don't see no styling chair. We got this stool, baby, but I'm going to make it happen. You trust me? And they say, yeah, girl, I trust you. Can you still swoop hair? I say, yeah, I still can swoop hair. Well, I'm going to sit in this chair and I'm going to get swooped.
Yeah.
So when I had clients start sharing how they supported me no matter what, and these are the same clients who, when I didn't even have a place to work at, I was in my living room, they still came, paid me the same amount. They didn't go to anyone else. And they were like, if you were in the park bathroom, we still coming to you. So I'm like, well, okay, well, then I got something here. There's something special about this where a client, where you normally come to relax, you got to sit up straight on that metal stool, And how did I wash their hair? Because I didn't even have a shampoo chair. I'm trying to remember how.
They probably had to put the face down.
They might, they might have to go face forward to get their hair washed, So shout out to all my loyal clients who have been with me for a long time, for years and years, and just supporting me through the good times and the bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's huge. So that just really resonated with me. And I will say there were a few moments, I think all of us was going through it during the pandemic, but even right before that, I had shared with you a little bit about my journey and trying to get the magazine going.
Absolutely.
Having those days where you're looking around and you're just like, what am I supposed to do? Like, how do I make this work? What are people going to think? And at some point not caring about what they think. Like just being you, because when you show up your authentic self, you're really surprised about how many people actually support you and are cheering for you.
Absolutely.
So you got to see that. People were rooting for you for real.
Yeah, now it didn't start like that. I was paying too much attention to the people who weren't.
Okay.
And the other people that had something negative to say.
Yeah.
And I think this is a Medea moment. I think I went on Facebook and I said something about like the support I wasn't getting or negativity. And my sis, her name is Letitia Eternal. She's a gospel rapper.
Yes.
Do you know who she is here locally? And say, shout out Letitia Eternal. She told me, sis, don't worry. And she don't even know this. Sis, don't worry about the people who don't support you. Concentrate on the people who do.
Yeah.
And it just said, bing, in my head, like, you do have people who support you. Concentrate on those people. Yeah. Because someone is always going to have something negative to say, but you can't put all your time and your energy and your worth into those negative comments. You have to I had to learn how to use those emotions, and don't be Medea. Use those emotions and create another community program for young ladies so I can teach them etiquette on how not to talk about their sister if they're going through something, on how to carry themselves if they're depressed so they don't push that on somebody else, how to heal, how to, find God, because he's the source of everything great and good. And so through my own creative way, through hair, fashion, and makeup, And so I know that's my calling. Yeah. I know that is what I'm supposed to be doing. And all these, even the negative things, have really, really built me into knowing who I am as a person and just being unapologetic about who I am and who God called me to be and how I'm going to move forward in this, because I'm not done.
Yeah, I love it. Well, so you but things were good. Like you had good clientele base, you you had a very particular type of client. Sometimes it would come in. The one thing I remember you saying was you will always speak what you wanted to happen. You were very adamant about your faith confessions
Yes.
and what you envisioned for your business, the additional clients that you wanted.
Absolutely.
You didn't want to box yourself in. And so talk a little bit about that journey, how you shifted from, being one type of stylist to being a stylist that was able to meet the total hair health need of the client.
That happened in 2019.
Okay.
My hair started thinning at the top in the crown area.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty young, so I'm trying to figure out why my hair's thinning at the top in the crown area. I would think it would thin around my sides because I was putting a lot of tension, with the ponytails and with the weaves and the quick weaves actually on my head. And so I'm like, what's going on? And I actually got my old cosmetology book and started to read about things like alopecia and losing your hair loss, and how there's different types of alopecia. So I was diagnosed with alopecia areata, and that is hair loss in a certain area, specifically tension, alopecia that tension causes, and high stress moments. Okay, and so I started training in that. I went online, paid for some courses on the East Coast, down south, and started to educate myself through online courses about how important hair health is. Once I got into it, I saw that barely no one really concentrates on hair health because it's not actually a hairstyle. And so a lot of us are used to doing the swoops and the finger waves and the ponytails and the haircuts, and the finished style being what type of stylist you are, really delegating what type of stylist you are, not the journey. And so once I started getting into hair loss and alopecia and learning it, I started to really notice it in my clients. I wasn't paying attention. I was just making sure that style was correct. Yeah. So, yes, I was shampooing you and conditioning you, but I really wasn't paying attention to the health of your hair. As long as it did what I wanted it to do, then I felt like it was okay. But again, learning from my situation and what caused, I really got into wellness, started to get into losing more weight. I'm a type 2 diabetic, and just a few other things when it came to mental health, working out, eating right, finding out that a lot that has to do with hair loss has to do with the foods that we eat. Yeah. And the bad things that are in the foods, and how we feel, how our emotions are, and learning that hair grows from the inside. We do a lot of topical care. We do conditioners and oils and butters and all that, thinking that you actually solve the issue. But if you're not aiding your inside, you're really not. You're really not. Yeah. So that is what changed my the direction of how I wanted to do hair. Was my own personal issue, and I got so entwined in it, and I was just so interested in it. I said, yeah, we have enough people swooping and duping. That's what I call it, swooping and duping. So we have a lot of people. You can go anywhere on any street and find 10 salons that can do the same style. Yeah. What aren't they doing? Yeah. And how can I make a difference in women? And it's not really styling their hair, but making sure that their natural hair is taken care of. That if that follicle is in fact still intact and alive, how we can rejuvenate that and get a healthy scalp, because a healthy scalp is the area where your hair grows out of. So you need that healthiness, and you need to have a healthy inside. So that is really what turned my business to hair health. And I was able to tie in wellness with that as well, because again, what I was eating and what I was drinking when it comes to sugary drinks and everything, it really does a damage on our hair follicle. And a lot of other women know it, but specifically Black women, we often don't take care of ourselves. We're often superwoman everywhere else. Take care of the kids, husband, work, and when it comes to you, you get the crumbs, right? And so I really wanted to start to highlight women and young women and teach them about their hair and their scalp.
So what's the response been like since you've made this shift?
I'm super booked. So actually, I'm actually solving a problem. And my coach, my business coach, shout out to Ree Williams,
Yay,
Remarkable, in the pink,
hey,
period. My business coach, she said, is your business answering a question? Is it solving a problem?
Yeah.
How can you stand out and be separate from the rest?
Mm-hmm.
Take what God given you, your personality, your wit, your education, and build that into your business and watch it grow.
Yeah.
And baby, it grew.
Yeah. Look, I know, because if I don't book my appointment for 2 weeks out, it's a problem. 2-3 weeks, I'm not getting my hair done. Okay. Sorry. That's a good problem to have. Congratulations.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm very excited about that. And a great thing about that is I'm not going to keep what I learned to myself.
Yeah.
So starting at the top of 2024, I will have content out on thehairagency.com to where if you want to purchase different courses, you can, how to do a silk press, how to know about hair health, and actually creating a hair health clinician certification program.
Yeah.
So because a lot of people need to know this, and even if you are a cosmetologist or a stylist or a barber, you can incorporate that certification and people will respect you for being educated in hair and scalp, and they'll pay a little bit more because they understand that you are a hair doctor.
Yeah.
You're not just a hair stylist.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So with all the success that you've had, all the transitions, what are some of the challenges you may still face internally? What are some of the things you have to fight through daily? Because I think sometimes people will see that you've made it, in their mind, like, and you're doing really well for yourself.
Thank you.
I'm sure you have additional goals you want to accomplish, but people on the outside can see you, they see how you're moving, they're like, oh, she's good. What are some things you still have to, it's like, wait a minute, what do you have to work through these days, even though you've accomplished so many of your goals?
So now we have this thing called internet. And now it's even more easier to get access to different people's opinions.
Yeah.
And
that you didn't ask for.
That I didn't ask for.
Yeah.
Right. That part. So I had to learn how to, again, channel my energy and channel how I was feeling channel my emotions, actually, and put that to work in a positive way so I can build, different things for the community and for my business as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know you post a lot to promote your business. Have you implemented any practices so that you don't really see the negative comments or just stay away?
Yes.
Okay.
So I learned at the beginning of 2020, at the pandemic, when everything was shut down, I got online and started re-educating myself and researching. And I found out about social media is algorithms, and you kind of can direct where negative traffic goes. So I stopped liking the fight video.
Okay. Wait, Twyla.
Girl, listen, they funny. So I had to stop. I had to unfollow the fight pages, girl. It was all right if they fighting online because it was nowhere around me. Okay.
Twyla is watching the fight videos.
Listen, that was interesting. So, I kind of took away took away all the videos that really weren't feeding me in a positive way.
Yeah.
So now I have more control over what I see. So
because the internet was giving you what you was asking for.
It definitely
was giving.
It definitely was giving. So I tried to narrow it down to more positive things online, and it really worked out. And it's just that I just post so much. I like it. I've always been a woman of presentation. That's what my grandmother taught me, and my Aunt Louise, how to present yourself, especially as a plus size woman, and how to take care of yourself and just show up, being great. And it just really helped me channel those negative emotions and how I felt about things, and just put it into something more positive.
Yeah. There's so many things you've said during this moment that I feel like translate into how people can handle life. So you talk about, changing the algorithms by what you're feeding into so that you get fed what you need. You talk about
when you said it, that sounded different.
Girl, that's what I heard.
What? That's a word right there. I said that.
You said that, boo.
Well.
That's what you said.
All right.
I'm gonna tell you what else you said. I heard there's freedom in truth and transparency. There's liberation in that. You did a lot of mindset shifting, refocusing, and I also heard how you changed the narrative based on, even though your situation was one way, you changed the narrative based on what you envisioned for your life.
Yes.
So you were able to also help other people shift their thinking. So if it's coming into your salon and there's a stool like, hey, boo, we got this stool, but it's going to be a good stool, versus like, oh my God, you guys, this is all I got. Your outlook has always been super positive. And I can see those lessons being translated into your life. There's been such a huge growth spurt in you. It's been a beautiful thing to witness.
Thank you.
It's another reason I don't let too many people in my head. I know about 4 people, and I still love them. It's just, my hair be changing, but y'all the only 4, about 4 I let in my head this way. But it's knowing that I'm in a safe place when I'm getting my hair done.
Absolutely.
And so you're not dumping on me. You're not pouring all whatever was going on. It's a sisterly conversation. It's a loving conversation. It's encouraging. And I really see you do that with their clients. So I want to applaud you and commend you and give you your flowers.
Thank you so much.
I've seen so much, and you've just been such an asset to our community, especially our young girls. Thank you. To be able to push through the hurt and say, you know what, I'm still going to show up authentically. I know people were trying to destroy me and trying to get me to hate myself, but guess what? I'm here.
I was here.
I wasn't going to say it. I wasn't going to it.
Oh, my goodness. I know. I said it.
You's here. And I'm hopeful by you being here, you being present. People are encouraged to be there wherever that place is for them, because there's something in all of us that we all need. And that's the beautiful thing about, our humanity and us being unique. There's something that all of us were given.
Yes.
Very special.
Absolutely.
That if we let pain, fear, hurt just hold us back, we're depriving the world of something beautiful.
Absolutely.
So you have blossomed. You have just completely opened up, and you're just such a joy. Like, you're just, every time I think about you, and I'm like, Twyla, Twyla.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You've been such an inspiration to me. Believing in me for Black and Magazine, and
Girl, you made that thing do it. That's it.
We had so much fun together, and I was able to see how you are outside of the salon and how you act, and it's the same way from when we was in the salon.
Good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, it's the same exact way from when we're in the salon with our alone time and having fun and being positive and just being. You're also someone who is very open, and I know even if it's with your 4 people, being very open and transparent and letting us know, because I look at you and I'm like, oh, this is the newspaper, and she got this, and she got that, she do this and she do that. It's very freeing and liberating to know that you trusted me to share some things, and I'm like, okay, well, we both kind of going through it, but we making it. We're still here, we're making it. So I remember, some situations, and I know you remember some situations of mine, especially when we were working, doing the Black and Magazine, and, it was a few hardships we had.
It was.
But we both pushed through that.
Yeah.
And look at you now. You're everywhere.
Girl.
Doing everything. Right. Every woman. That is your song. It's finna be your ringer now. I'm finna put, I'm every woman. Okay?
I love it.
So everywhere, doing everything. And you're such an inspiration to me. And I just wear you on my shoulder. And I brag about you all the time. I'm like, that's my friend. You see her. I know you do. Yeah. That's my friend.
She with me.
Right.
Yeah.
She with me.
Yeah, she might.
So it's just great seeing you do what you love and smile. And there's a glow about you now. So you have even, peel back a few layers. And I can see a glow in you, especially with all that red on. Girl, your color.
You got the yellow.
Ooh, okay, we just shining. Look like the sun, baby. Like the sunshine, okay? That's exactly what I said. I said, I'm going to look like a big old sun today. I'm going to put on some yellow and just shine.
You shine it. But you know what the beauty in that, Twyla, is that a good friend can bring that out of the other person.
Absolutely.
And they are also a person that contributes to that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you couldn't have gotten your glow by itself,
Right.
and vice versa.
Right.
And God will place amazing people in our lives to help cultivate that
Yes.
and nurture that light and say,
Yes.
hey, no, look, get it together.
Absolutely.
You know, we need you.
Yes.
Need you. So I'm excited about what you got coming down the pipeline. I know you've done a lot with young ladies. You've done a
Yes.
lot of shows and styling and fashion. What do you have next? Are you at liberty to share anything?
Sure.
Okay.
If you ask, girl.
Yeah, I want to know.
What I'm doing next, so I have a few things that I'm doing. Of course, I'm moving into hair education.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I'm still behind the chair, but kind of getting my business ready to push further in that. Not only to educate my clients, but also educate other stylists and people who are upcoming, doing some mentorship.
Okay.
So kind of removing myself from full time behind the chair and just getting out into the community again. And I have a few stylists asking for mentorship, and then just pushing that hair education narrative. Yeah. Because I'm about the only person again in San Diego doing this, baby, and I stay booked. But I would love to share my knowledge of what I learned from research and online and getting certified and relicensed in certain areas when it comes to scalp care and hair loss and things like that, and really showing how you can make good money and not really work as hard, because those hairstyles with the swoops and the lace, baby, I can do them, but they take a lot. Yeah. Okay. And so I've been in the business 27 years. So, you know, a lot of people don't practice. It's called good ergonomics. I'm a hair educator too, and I'll get to teaching you, but how to stand, how to plant your feet on the ground, how to shampoo, because at 43 now I have arthritis in my left knee. Oh wow. You know, and carpal tunnel. Yeah. And all these things, like we're going back to the books and the basics when it comes to hair care and hair health. Yeah, that's good. And then also in the community with the girls, I plan on doing a self-esteem pageant and just pushing creatively through the arts. I'm a lover of the arts because the arts save me as well as hair. And just pushing that narrative for the young girls. I'm blessed to always get a great response because they're on Instagram and they're looking at the Kim K's and they're looking at the Carishas and you know, there's only one Kim K, and she's being Kim K. Mm-hmm. There's only one Beyonce, she's already being Beyonce. There's only one Kim K, she's already doing that. You be you. Yeah. You be who God called you to be. There's something special about you too. Mm-hmm. And you don't need all the shots and the surgery and all that to be you. Yeah. If that is a decision that you would like to make for you, there's nothing that I can say about it. Yeah. However, I don't agree with you altering your body to make someone else happy or for you to fit in with society. Yeah. That is my issue, especially if you're 12. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm hitting the table. I get passionate about that. Sorry. But especially if you're 12.
Yeah, because our girls can't be girls now. It's that exposure to social media. Yes. I mean, they're like full on eyelashes.
They're full on 22 centimeter eyelashes, 22-inch hair, and I can't tell a 12-year-old from an 18 now.
It's scary.
They're filling out, they're thickening out, and
Lord. So how do you get them back to being a child? Because I know, first of all, I wasn't allowed to get my nails done for a minute. I think I got my first full set when I was like maybe 16, you know, but I guess when we were coming up, first of all, there was no social media. The internet was still just getting started.
Right. Thank God.
We was just getting in it. I mean, that dial-up was real. You know, we was just getting email accounts in the late 90s by the time we graduated high school. So what is the challenge? Like not what's the challenge, but how are you going to get little girls back to being little girls because they're so inundated by what they're seeing? And it's actually scary because I'm like, when you get our age, there's some days you might have to put some concealer on.
Absolutely.
Like, you going to have to do it.
Absolutely.
You know, maybe last week was a little rough. You wouldn't get no sleep. Maybe you need to touch that up. But when you 12, 13, 14, like, you don't need all that. Yeah. You know, like, why and how? But how would you recommend getting a child back to a child's place, if you will?
Do the same thing that they're doing online. Make it cool. Okay. You have to make it cool. And then you have to make sure that you have a comparison, someone positive. So I bring up people like Zendaya. Okay. You know, I bring up people that that they can identify with
At that age.
you know, that are pushing a more positive role model destination and delivery than maybe someone else who is in Hollywood that's their age that is not. So you got to make it cool. And then of course with me having the aspect of beauty and fashion, I'm able to make sure that I can create something that's still cool, still nice. They have their hair done, but the outfit isn't showing everything that they have to offer at 13. Lord.
Yeah.
You know, so it sometimes it is a challenge.
Yeah.
I have to be quite honest with you, because how do I bring someone, or a mother drops her daughter off to a program and I'm trying to teach this way, but then she go home and then it's still taught the opposite way.
And you're a mother too, though.
Absolutely.
You're a mother, so you actually can probably address all of that. Is there a way that you plan to pull the parents into the conversation as well?
Yes. So at the beginning, when I start certain programs, the mothers have to come with the daughters, and we actually do mental health exercises together. We talk. I have a jar called the Nunya jar, like the none of your business jar.
Yes.
And
parents.
Wait,
how do you spell Nunya?
Nunya, Nonya.
Okay, Nunya.
Nunya.
Okay. I had to ask.
Yeah. So like the Nunya, and so they put their concerns in there, their issues in there, and then I have a full panel. So I have someone from the spiritual standpoint. Then I have a therapist, and then I just have someone from Southeast San Diego who's lived life and has a lot of wisdom. So they can pick and choose which aspect maybe that you want to take. All three aspects, or 4 or 5 aspects, being very positive for the situation that they're going through, giving them and trusting the panel to give them great information and great advice with resources. Sometimes we answer the question and that's it. Yeah. Well, if I'm having an anxiety attack, well, that's anxiety. Okay, then what's next? So we teach things like, shout out to my friend April Laster, owner and founder of Open Heart Leaders, because I go there myself, and I get services there myself. But shout out to her. We grew up together, went to school together, and I love to see. Oh, and congratulations, because she's opening up her charter school, charter high school.
Congratulations, April.
Yes, I think it's called Heart Leaders Charter School.
Yes.
So congratulations. She's just doing phenomenal things in the community, but she's always a part of the panel and always volunteers her time to help the community, even through my beauty group, and just making sure that we kind of cover all aspects, and then that the parents and the daughters are really together, and they can get that time, and so the parents can understand what I'm doing. And we can hopefully work together to get a positive outcome in that young lady's life.
That's amazing.
Yes,
that's amazing. So the last thing I'm going to ask, where can the good people find you?
Okay, because I post every day, all day, y'all. So you can find me on Instagram. My name on Instagram is Twyla Hair Queen on Instagram. I also have the Hair Agency SD on Instagram. On Facebook, the Hair Agency SD. And you can always reach out to me through my website, thehairagencysd.com, and you can leave an inquiry, and I will be more than happy to get back with you if you have any questions or concerns with any youth programs that I have in the community, or of course hair or scalp issues. Just opened up my hair clinic in Lemon Grove, the Hair Agency SD, hair, skin, and scalp spa and treatment clinic. And so me and my aunt, that is Fennell Restoration, Hair Restoration, we came together. So she will be doing all the trichology services. So if you have hair loss issues, your hair is shedding, you have balding in some areas, she can most definitely help you from a trichology standpoint, and that is scalp sculpting and things like that. You can actually get to the root of the issue. If that follicle is still alive, and if it isn't, we also still have other ways where we can help you.
That's good.
And so then we'll also have an esthetician, and she will be doing skin treatment. So anything you need concerning your skin. So she's doing doing facials and vajacials.
Wow.
Yeah, waxing, and she's
Okay.
doing the eyebrows and just
Yeah.
teeth lightening and everything. So I really wanted to create a spa and treatment clinic where you can kind of get everything done regarding your hair, skin, and scalp at the same place.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Cool. I'm so glad that you made time to talk to us today. I hope people are encouraged by your story.
I pray that you all are encouraged as well. And it may not always be easy, but it's definitely worth it.
Thank you, Twyla.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you all for joining me. This is That Moment. You just sat with myself and Miss Twyla, and we hope that you had a great time. You can follow me or the podcast at thatmoment.thepodcast, and that's on Instagram, and it's also thatmoment.thepodcast on YouTube. I'm Chida Rebecca. I will see you next time.